Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Far Post podcast presented by Esports Gaming League. We are back after a 3-week hiatus during the international break as the New England Revolution are atop the Eastern Conference standings following the Revs' latest victory at the end of May with a 1-0 win over FC Cincinnati. I'm Elizabeth Pehota alongside my co-host Jeff Lemieux, and it's been a while, Jeff, since we've had a podcast and a little while since we've had a game. So how much are you looking forward to getting back to the grind and being back in the swing of things, preparing for our match?
It has been a while. It's been probably a little too long. I think everybody needed and looked forward to the break. You know, even as employees of the club, it was nice to step away for a little bit and kind of rest and recharge, just like the players did. But anytime you get like a week and a half, 2 weeks into a break like that, you start to get that itch a little bit. You're like, all right, I've been away from the game long enough. Let's get back into it. So it's been nice this week to get back into a little bit of a rhythm, have a game to look forward to, and hopefully just pick up where things left off before the break. Because like you said, the Revs were on a pretty good roll.
They were, and we are excited to be joined by a very special guest on this week's episode of the Far Post podcast, defender DeJuan Jones. DeJuan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to chat with you. It's been a little while. First appearance for you of 2021.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back on the podcast.
Well, let's start by talking a little bit about the international break. You guys had a few days off after that 1-0 shutout at FC Cincinnati to start off that break, but how were you able to spend it? Because I know you guys had a few days to kind of relax, recharge. Some people went away. Did you do anything fun during that break?
Yeah, I actually, I got down to Atlanta. My aunt lives down there with my grandma.
Nice.
And my cousin just graduated high school. So I was there for those celebrations. And then I actually went back to Michigan to be in my hometown with my family for about 3 or 4 days. So it was great, like you said, just to recharge and spend time with family.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you had a packed schedule for the break. And I know that early June, anyone on the team who chose to get vaccinated had an opportunity to do so. So that efficacy period had kind of kicked in. How nice was it to kind of have a period where you could have life return a little bit to normal by seeing all your friends and family and, you know, just getting back kind of into the swing of things prior to the pandemic, how they were?
Yeah, it's great. I was talking to one of my friends last night. It feels like things are getting back to normal, which is like crazy to say. I didn't think it would happen this soon, but yeah, everything's starting to open up and people are vaccinated, so it's safe. And we're just hoping that it continues to stay this way.
And now I know you're obviously still following, a certain number of protocols at the training center and still going through a certain testing cadence a couple of times a week and everything like that. But have you seen that sense of normalcy also start to return a little bit at the training center and how you guys are kind of able to approach being in the building and training every day? And how has that kind of helped a little bit just in terms of getting some of those preparations back to a little bit of more normalcy?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I forgot this, but in the beginning, before everything happened, we had couches like in our in the meal room. So they put the couches back in. So now guys can really relax and just lay out before training starts. And even when we watch film, guys are on the couch. So we're closer to each other, and it just feels more like it should. Just the team being together, and we're all vaccinated. So it makes it easier for sure.
You mentioned a lot of those changes, like the couches coming back and things shifting back to normal. Have you noticed that people are spending maybe more time there than they used to prior when you were in the COVID protocols, or is it kind of similar to how it was during that period?
I think the guys are definitely spending more time there. Just with laxer restrictions, it's easier instead of like, wear your mask if you're walking through the hallway or all these rules. So now that, like I said, with everyone being vaccinated, it makes it a lot easier, and guys are really enjoying their time at the facility and doing what we can to stay healthy and on the field.
Well, you all have had a 3-week period to be at the facility and kind of recharge your batteries a little bit. How refreshed did you feel kind of coming back from your time in Atlanta and Michigan to lead back into some training?
I felt great. Some of the guys are making fun of me because I just had so much energy. They're like, "Oh my gosh, DeJuan, you knew you were gonna be like after this break." But no, it was a great refresher, especially going into this jam-packed part of the schedule. We're gonna have 3 games a week, 3 games in like 8 or 9 days for a lot of the rest of the season. So that break was great, and just kind of helped you refocus a little bit. Spend time with family, and just realize what it's all about, and just take everything in and enjoy it.
When you recharge the batteries, some people's batteries hold more of a charge than other people's batteries. It seems like your batteries hold a pretty good charge.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a lot of energy that first day, so hopefully I can show that, when the games start back.
Was that kind of a universal feeling on the team after having a couple of days off that everybody, even if it wasn't quite on your level of being charged, had that sort of energy back?
There were some guys. Some guys were more like, "Hey, easy, first day back, relax, relax, like take it easy." So there was a mixture, I would say.
Okay. Healthy mix is good. And now you're back to a game week with New York City FC on Saturday. But last week, you weren't prepping for a game specifically. So you had an entire week to just focus on training. How did you guys utilize that time and what were the focuses during those sessions?
Yeah, we did a lot of defending in the low block, so just shifting our defense, going like 10 against 6, and just making sure that we're communicating defensively. We don't know, what teams are going to throw at us. Like we work on pressing as well as, like I said, staying back a little bit. So we just had to be prepared for anything. But we got some really good training sessions in. I think the guys will definitely we've improved as a team, and like I said, we're looking forward to showing it when these games start back up. Just our increased communication and defensive movements, and also offensively, we've been working on some combinations. So yeah, really excited for the games.
I know things always change week to week and based on the schedule and the opponent, but I had seen a description of Bruce Arena training sessions recently. I think it was in the Beckham Experiment, because I go back and read the Beckham Experiment from Grant Wall every now and then, and it described Bruce's training sessions as short but intense. So I'm just wondering kind of what your impression is, having played under a bunch of different coaches, and what a Bruce Arena training session is like, if you could kind of, look big picture, like a typical Bruce Arena training session.
Yeah, those short and intense sessions those are tough. Like Bruce likes to scrimmage a lot too, so we do a lot of playing. And those sessions are hard, but honestly, when we do like just like the small like 6v6 games, very intense. Like we're all competing to try to win, and there's not much rest. And even when we do have time to rest, when we're not playing, we're doing rondos. So there's no real free time to rest, and you're going for like feels like 30 minutes straight. But again, everyone's focused, intense, and we're just really trying to translate that over to the game, that competitive winning mentality that we have each day in practice.
Yeah, it does feel like that's a big element of the training sessions is competition. Regardless of whether you're just doing a drill or you're playing a small-sided game or what it is, there is always kind of that element of there is going to be a winner and a loser, and we want you to be in that mindset all the time.
Yeah, even yesterday we did a transfer box game. Basically, it's like a rondo, but you have to get 10 passes and kick it over the other side of the grid. I was on the winning team, thankfully. We won all 3 games. It was a clean sweep, and we were just killing every team. My team, we were just getting so hyped. I know the other teams were annoyed, but like we were just really bringing the energy yesterday. So that was a good time.
I think Jeff and I saw some of the aftermath out at training yesterday too, with the frustration for some of the guys that weren't on your team.
Yeah.
And DeJuan, I know you mentioned that, Bruce likes to scrimmage doing that 6v6 format, but you guys also played a lot of 10v6 that past week. What's the purpose in shifting to that sort of scrimmage style?
Yeah, I think for that, it's just, we're at a numbers disadvantage. So how are we going to talk this out? How are we going to communicate? Who goes where? But like Bruce always says, every play is going to be different. So as long as the guys out there can communicate and talk and get guys in the right positions, like we're going to be fine. So, it really helps us, build on those communication skills and just kind of seeing different plays. So when we get to the game, we're ready for it.
Yeah, we spoke with Dave Vandenberg earlier this week, and he talked kind of about assessing the team's strength and weaknesses and improving those during the break. And one area he did mention was, like, for example, if you go up against a back line that it has 3, 5, 4, however many people in that area. But what's the biggest area that you think the team has made progress in over the last few weeks?
I would say our defense communication is getting a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think, especially in the Cincinnati game, we're generating a lot of chances.
Yeah.
So, if we keep doing that, we'll keep putting ourselves in positions to win. And especially if we start scoring on a lot of these opportunities, I think we can really, continue to stay at the top of the East.
And while most of the team has been hunkered down in Foxborough for the latter part of the international break, your teammate DeJuan Buchanan has been with the Canadian national team. And, he had a lot of firsts with them, 4 games in the 11 days. He made his first cap against Aruba and he did it in style, registering 2 assists, but that's typical DeJuan, making sure he makes an impact. But how exciting was it for you to see him as a teammate and friend grasp a hold of these opportunities and help Canada secure that spot in the final round of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying?
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. Me and DeJuan have been pretty much roommates ever since we both got drafted together. So I'm really proud of him, just seeing him take these next steps, and I see how hard he works every single day. So for him to, get the call-ins and show that he can play at that level, it's really great. And I know he's gonna continue to keep doing his thing. So we're really proud of him.
How close of contact have you guys stayed in while DeJuan's been away during the international break?
Yeah, we FaceTimed one time, but he likes to Snapchat a lot, so we kept in touch via Snapchat. So I was getting some snaps of him celebrating the other night and some other stuff. So it seemed like he's having a good time, and then just bonding with his Canadian teammates, I think.
Do you guys have a snap streak going? And if so, how long is it?
It's like 3 days, I think, maybe 4.
Okay.
It's a day here and there.
Now he is in camp right now with Alphonso Davies or just camp that just wrapped up. He was in camp with Alphonso Davies, who, obviously at this point considered one of the best left backs in the world, if not the best left back in the world. He is in that conversation. So did you throw in a snap? You're like, hey, maybe just connect me with Alphonso Davies for a little bit. He can give me some tips. It's one of the best left backs in the world.
Nah, I didn't. DeJuan's back today, so I'm gonna see him here in a few hours. So decided to catch up with him and see how camp went for him.
I know we're going to talk about the two of you as roommates, but I also wanted to ask, as you've watched DeJuan, with the Canadian national team. Obviously, he was in for CONCACAF Olympic qualifying and now for World Cup qualifying. On Extra Time Radio, MLSsoccer.com's Extra Time Radio last week, David Goss, who's one of their hosts, actually mentioned your name as someone he thinks should get a look with the U.S. national team at the Gold Cup. So, what's that like for you, just kind of hearing your name brought up in that conversation? And what kind of, national team aspirations have you ever had as you've kind of, gotten a little deeper into your professional career?
Yeah, that's great to hear. I didn't know that. So I had to check out that interview. But I'm definitely exciting. I feel like, I'm finally a full-time starter, which has been nice just to get those games under my belt. And I feel like I'm getting better each and every game, and I'm really a student of the game. So I'm always trying to learn, get better, watching the games back, watching back practices, just watching, international soccer, just seeing and always trying to learn and be the best that I can. So, if the opportunity ever presents itself where I can get a call in, I think that'd be great. And I'll take full advantage of the opportunity. So fingers crossed, we'll see, but that'll be amazing.
DeJuan, speaking of yourself as well, and just how much you've grown over the last couple of years since you've been drafted, what's the biggest area that you think that you've continued to improve upon just in becoming a player? We know you obviously are playing a defensive minded role at the left back position, but you came in as a midfielder. So what's been the biggest thing that you've learned?
Yeah. I think the position change was big. Just from always like attacking and, being able to lose the ball every once in a while to being a defender where it's like, you can't lose the ball. You're just getting the ball in different areas of the field. You're seeing the game different. You're getting the ball a lot more. So you really have to take care of it. And I think for me, I'm just growing in terms of my decision making and knowing when to go forward, when to just keep it, when to play simple, when to go one-on-one. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, just decision making and understanding my role and position on the team.
And I want to circle back to you and DeJuan for a few minutes, because I know we talked about it before you hopped on the call, but you guys are roommates. So you spend a lot of time together when you're not on the field. So not having DeJuan there for a couple weeks with you, what did you miss about him the most?
Man, probably the favorite thing that we do together is just watching like basketball or just watching sports on TV and just chatting, just good conversation. And just someone across the way, just to say hi every once in a while. getting lonely in my apartment. But no, definitely great to have him back, and excited to catch up.
I know that you just mentioned you guys watch sports together. Do you guys have any TV shows that you guys watch together as well? Maybe a Netflix binge series or something along those lines?
No, we were watching I was watching Prison Break with him for a little bit,
Okay.
but he was more watching it, and I just would go in the living room and watch it. So he ended up finishing that series. I was never too invested, but it's pretty good. I think we were watching like season 3. It was pretty good.
Now, will you guys watch the European Championships? Are you the type of guys who will watch like every single game that's on, or do you try to step away from the game a little bit more when you're not on the field?
Any game that's on, pretty much we're watching it.
There you go.
But yeah, maybe we'll watch Money Heist when it comes out on Netflix.
Who
right.
do you have? Who's your favorite in the European Championships?
Ooh. I mean, it's easy to say France. I mean, they're looking good.
It is easy to say France.
Yeah.
I mean, probably for good reason, but
Yeah. But
if it's France, it's France.
yeah,
It looks like it's France.
France.
He wants to go off the cuff, off the beaten path, but can't actually make that decision. They're too good.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to go away from France.
And I know when you live with people that everybody has some weird habits. Maybe it's someone leaving the cabinets open. I'll say that louder in case my roommate hears that, or restocking the household with like different items. But is there something that you learned about DeJuan living with him that was surprising?
I don't want to say anything that'll get me in trouble, so I'm not gonna answer this one.
All right, well, I'm going to take that as there is something and you just don't want to share it.
That's fair.
That's fair. We're not looking to get anybody in trouble. We're just looking to know if there's any like weird sort of habits. I'm sure, Jeff, you've lived with people too in the past that have had like weird roommate habits.
Oh, everybody's got, I had one thing, my best friend growing up, I ended up living with him for a few years after college. And one thing that for some reason annoyed me, shouldn't have annoyed me, but it did. Every time he used the microwave, no matter how long he was microwaving something, he always stopped it with like 2 or 3 seconds left. And then he left it on that. So like didn't affect my life in any way. But every time I'd go to the microwave, it would just be sitting there with like 2 seconds left on it. And I was just like, why don't you just let it finish? Why do you have to end at 2 seconds left every time? So that's just something that popped into my mind is, it's like a roommate thing where you're like, it does not matter in any way, but everyone's got like those little foibles.
Yeah, my roommate will leave the like cabinets open after he cooks. So it's like, I'll walk into the kitchen, no one's there, but all the cabinets are open. Again, doesn't impact my life in any sort of way, but it's just funny. Everyone has those little tiny habits, but we all love our roommates regardless of their habits. And we know that you and DeJuan are really close. So how much are you looking forward to having him back 1, home with you, and then 2, returning to the group ahead of New York City this weekend?
Yeah, home with me, just be nice to have him here. I mean, like I said, we've been together since my rookie season, so it does feel weird, not seeing him for a while. But yeah, it'll be good to have him back. And then in terms of the field, I mean, he's one of our most dangerous attackers, so he's always going to provide a threat. Opposition has to be wary of him. He's drawing fouls in dangerous areas, so if we can get back into our team, like the better for the team. The earlier the better. So excited to have him back and see what he can do this weekend against New York after the international break.
We're looking forward to him getting back too. But I want to take some time to kind of look at the first 8 games of the season. You guys are atop the East, and you're on a 3-game winning streak, going 5-1-2 throughout that 8-game span. But what's the most important thing that you've learned throughout that stretch, as you guys have consistently for a few weeks been atop the standings?
Yeah, I mean, every game's going to be a grind, and we have to see it through for 90 minutes. I think it was a tough lesson to learn, but against Philly, I mean, maybe some questionable calls, but I think we just have to do a better job as a team of closing out the game. I think it was then we learned from that, because I think it was the Red Bull game where like in the 90th minute we had the ball like in their corner, like way away from our goal. We just did a good job keeping the ball, drawing fouls, getting corner kicks. So like I think we learned from that. So I mean, every time something's happening, I think we've learned from it and grown from it. So, you can't really go back in time and change anything. But I think our team's doing a good job of just, learning from our mistakes and continuing to improve each and every game.
I'll say it for you. In the Philadelphia game, Kasper Shabilko elbows Matt Turner in the face, and the goal should have been waved off, and it wasn't. You should have won, and you didn't. But that's I'm just saying it. You don't have to say it, but I'll say it. And it's far enough in the past now that whatever. But you'll get another crack at Philadelphia later in the season. But I'll say it just so that it's out there.
All right, good.
I think it needed to be said.
Yeah, everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yes. And head coach Bruce Arena really emphasized starting strong this year from day one with you guys to just come out the door and make sure that the group is getting those points. So there's no necessarily need to scramble and chase a playoff position come later in the year. What's allowed the team to be so consistent so far?
Great question. I mean, I think we just have a good mentality throughout the group. And I was actually talking, I think, Brandon about this, and it's like it's so exciting to to win games, but like at the end of the game, it almost feels like we expected to win this game. So it's like you want to celebrate, but it's like, all right, like who do we have next? Like that's the kind of mentality that the group's been showing this year. Like why does everyone just look so like relaxed? Like, it's like we're expecting to win these games, so it's kind of new for me. I mean, especially after my rookie season, how the season started, it's like every win felt like we won the World Cup. So it's great that our mentality is shifting. It's just expecting and going into every game, expecting to get the result, whether we're at home or on the road.
It's funny you bring that up because I was talking about this with someone in the office recently, and you talk about teams who go on the road and win a game, and then you see on social media that locker room shot of like the whole team in the visiting locker room with the shirts off, like road celebration, that picture. And like, you guys have done that occasionally. You did that in the playoffs last year, but there are some teams that do that literally every single time they win a game. They'll do like the on-field team shot or the locker room team shot. And I was like, I wonder why our guys don't, we don't ever do like the team shot in the locker room with a road win or something. You see a lot of teams do that. And someone's like, it's because winning a game away from home is not a huge deal for this group. They go into that game expecting to win it. So why act like they won the World Cup if it's just a road win that you expected to get? So it's cool hearing that from your perspective, because that is kind of exactly what we were talking about and saying like, yeah, this team does feel like the mentality is, yeah, we're going on the road and we expect to win. And if we don't, we're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
And part of the reason that you guys have been so good is because of your defense. And you look at that 3-game winning streak, and the squad has only conceded 1 goal. And you take a look at all 8 games, and you only conceded 7 goals total. And if you want to go even further and take out the first 11 minutes of the season, you've only conceded 5 goals and 709 minutes of play. So what's led to that team defensive resiliency that you guys have just carried so well this year?
I mean, yeah, we've been working on it. Really focused working on it ever since Bruce got here. I mean, at least once, twice a week, we do stuff specifically for the defense, just to work on line communication, like who's stepping when, and then just holding each other accountable. I know Carlos expects us to never give up a goal, so like make Carlos our captain proud. So I mean, each and every game, we're just doing our best to keep clean sheets and work hard for each other. I mean, if the guy's out of position, someone should be there to cover for him, and we're really doing a good job of that, and just not giving up too many easy goals this year. So yeah, looking forward to that, and continuing to be strong on set pieces would be great.
In those rare moments you do concede a goal, just go to Carlos and say, hey man, just go do something special at the other end of the field. I know you got that in the bag. Just go help us out.
Exactly.
DeJuan, you mentioned that it's been a big focus on defense since Bruce got there. And that was something that you guys were consistent last year with the Eastern Conference Finals and getting to that point in that game. So how strongly has that defensive mentality really carried over from last season? And how beneficial for you as someone who hadn't had playoff experience before and making a deep run was it to go that far and then be able to kind of carry that experience with you this year?
Yeah, it was great. In the year before, we went down to Atlanta, played a really tough game.
Yeah.
They got one chance really, and they finished it. So that was a tough pill to swallow. So, I mean, definitely going into last year, we couldn't let that happen again. We had the game at home against Montreal, and we did not have a great home record last year. So just honestly to get that playoff or play-in game, just kind of got our momentum going for the Philly game, and we just kind of rode that wave of momentum. And made a deep run. But I think that those experiences are vital, and they're very big for everyone on the team. I mean, not everyone on the team has been to that, been at that level before playing in, Eastern Conference Final. So we've been there now, and this year we expect to win those games. And I think the way that our team's trending right now, we can continue to keep improving. And when we get to that opportunity next, or hopefully this year, we'll be ready to win it and win the MLS Cup.
Well, we're all looking forward to that and keeping our fingers crossed for that one. I think you guys have it in you. But let's talk a little bit about this upcoming stretch starting this weekend at New York City FC. And this is a little bit of a weird one because there's kind of a plot twist with this game because it's being played at a rival for both the Revs and New York City FC at Red Bull Arena. So how does this switch kind of impact the matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think playing at Yankee Stadium is always a tough one from
Mhm.
a baseball field. So the field's kind of on a diagonal. So just in terms of like sight lines and like seeing the offside line, even for the players and for the refs, it's difficult. And the field's a little bit shorter. So I think it plays to New York City's advantage when we play at Yankee Stadium, just because they're more used to the field, and um, yeah, it gives them an advantage being at home as well. But with Red Bull, I think that kind of neutralizes the game a bit. And I think Red Bull Stadium has a really big field, so it's going to be harder to press for 90 minutes, and I think it's going to be a really good battle. But I mean, not playing at Yankee Stadium, I think that makes it better for us. But we're looking forward to it. I mean, New York's a top team every year. We know it's always a battle when we play them, so we're going to keep the ball a lot, and we're going to have to find ways to break them down because they're solid defensively as well. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
You mentioned there really aren't more different playing surfaces in the league, going from what is the smallest field in the league at Yankee Stadium to the biggest playing surface in the league at Red Bull Arena. For you, a left back who likes to get up and down, do you prefer kind of having some more space to kind of run into, or is it also, you gotta consider you got more space to cover as well?
I mean, yeah, it's like you said, it's both. But I mean, the more space, I think it'll benefit me more for sure. I can just hit it in a space and run past guys, and it can just be a one-on-one. But at Yankee Stadium, if you try to hit it past someone, you're going right into another defender most of the time. So I think it could definitely benefit me and the way that I play. But yeah, it's going to be a battle. Like I said, it's going to be 90 minutes, and it's going to test our stamina, test our determination to see the game out for 90 minutes. But like I said, we're looking forward to it. And I mean, we have a target on our back being the number one team in the East now. So everyone's going to give us their best game. So looking forward to staying on top. We gotta take care of these tough games.
Everyone wants to take you down when you're number one in your conference, right?
Definitely.
DeJuan, you kind of echoed what we talked to Dave Vandenberg about earlier this week because he called New York City FC one of the best teams in the East. And he said, I'll just keep it to the East for now, is kind of how he put it. But you take a look at them, they're sitting at fourth place and they're going 3-3-2 through 7 matches. So they have a game in hand on the Revs, but they've still had a really strong start. And you look at their last game, I know it was before the break, but they're coming off of a 10-man win at LAFC. So what challenges do they pose because they are such a threatening team?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, every time I play them, I just know I'm running in behind. They like to play the ball in behind. So again, this can be important for communication in terms of our line. Do we drop? Do we catch them off sides? But it comes down to communication. And they have a lot of attacking talent. I know their right back likes to basically play winger. So it's going to be a challenge for me. So I have to sort it out with Arnour. I mean, who's going to defend? Who's going to, when I have two guys, do I step? Do I go? Do I let someone else take the guy? So, like I said, we have a lot to sort out, but we're working on it in practice. So I think come this weekend we'll have it sorted out, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
How has that relationship continued to develop with Arnour? Because obviously he's playing in front of you basically every single game, and he's still kind of getting up to speed a little bit. But that's an important relationship that maybe we don't think about quite as much as the outside back and the wing playing in front of him.
Yeah, no, we have a good friendship off the field as well. So I mean, we're talking a lot on the field where I'm really understanding how he likes to play, where he likes the ball, and then also defensively, he does a really good job of just getting in the right positions. So like you said, it's a working relationship. You continue to build on it each and every day. Like we did like a little bit of a scrimmage today, so we had a moment where we kind of misread each other, but I mean, it's important to have those in practice. So we talked about it, and come game time, we know what we're gonna do now. So it worked out really well, and we're looking forward to continuing to build our relationship.
Well, I want to ask a little bit about Arnour too, just kind of off the field since he's so new. Could you provide some insight into maybe his personality or, how you've developed a relationship with him? I know for us, he's always so pleasant whenever we see him. You ask him, how are you? And he goes, good, how are you? And he looks you in the eye when he says it, and he genuinely wants to know. So I'm just kind of wondering if you can shed some insight for us on his personality off of the field.
Yeah, like you said, he's a very nice guy, very respectful, and I think he really likes to learn. He's very observant. Like I was like, today I was trying this drink. I didn't know he was looking at me. He goes, but I made a little face. He's like, "You not like it?" I was like, I didn't know anyone was staring at me. No, he's funny. Like he enjoys a good laugh. He cracks some good jokes, and he's just such a nice guy to have around the locker room. He's gonna work hard. He's gonna work hard on the field, off the field, and just really great guy to have around for sure.
That's awesome. I could definitely see him being really observant too. The first time that we interacted with him was via a Zoom call, and I had a game in the background, and he goes, "Oh, you like Ticket to Ride?" and kind of just picked up on something that was far away, like, and it just sparked another conversation. So I can see him being really observant and maybe calling you out on something that you're drinking.
He's like, "You not like it?" Oh man, my face was that crazy.
He might be watching us. I feel like he might be watching us right now. It feels
Never
like
know.
Arner's eyes everywhere all the time.
Yeah, he's not far away from me, so he might.
Well, we're looking forward to getting to know him a little bit more throughout this year, especially as things start to open up. But talking about that New York City FC game, it's starting a busy stretch for you guys. It's the first of 3 games that the team will play in only 9 days. And you're returning home to host the Red Bulls on June 23rd. And then you're only technically Western Conference opponent for a road game on the 27th. So what's the team's mentality heading into this busy stretch?
I mean, yeah, we're just taking it one game at a time right now. I mean, I think that's important. We don't want to look too far into the future. So yeah, right now our focus is on New York. We have to start thinking about Red Bull because we have a task at hand to finish up first. So like I said, as soon as we finished up the New York City game, they were on Red Bull and they were on Dallas. But right now we're just focused on one game at a time and not looking past what we have in front of us.
Yeah, it was interesting, as we mentioned, chatting with Dave Vandenberg earlier this week, and he had said, because of the size of the field at Red Bull Arena and the way the game might play out, and the fact that there are 2 more games coming up this week, he's like, there might be times where maybe it makes more sense to sit in a shape a little bit and defend a little bit more. And it's funny because obviously a coaching staff has to consider things like that, and they kind of have to look ahead a little bit. They have to know what's coming later in the week. I'd imagine as a player, it's tough in those moments when you're on the field to be like, I need to conserve a little energy because it's a busy week. I got to imagine when you're on the field, you kind of just got to be all go all the time.
Yeah, you got to be all go. As soon as you start doing that, that's when you start making mistakes. You start not playing like yourself. Your team expects you to do something, and you're like, oh, saving it for the next game. It's like the next game isn't promised, So just being in the moment and taking advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you.
DeJuan, I know that one area of the team that has been looking to improve is finishing chances, and heading into this busy stretch when people might be gassed, you're doing a lot of rotation. How big of a priority is it that you guys have really been able to hone in on that craft ahead of those games?
Yeah, we've actually been doing a great job over this break. We had a scrimmage against Revs too. I'm not gonna say how many goals we scored, but we scored a lot of goals. And we had some nice finishes in that game. Then we also did an intra-squad scrimmage as well, and some nice goals were scored. Again, today we scrimmaged a little bit. Some nice goals were scored. So I think we're finding our finishing boots now and heading into this part of the season where, it's going to be a tough game and we want to grind out results. If we can get, the 2-goal advantage, that will definitely help. So looking to finish teams off a little bit earlier. So a little bit less pressure on the defense. And I mean, obviously we're still going for the clean sheet, but it would be nice to, have a couple goal lead going into the end of games.
Since we don't have any video, I'm just going to assume that you scored a banger against Revs too. And we just don't have video footage of it, right?
I wish I could say I did.
I was trying to lie for you.
Nah, I didn't, but I'm getting close. It's coming. My goal's coming.
Well, we know that MLS is a crazy league and anything can kind of change over the course of the season, but MLS's power rankings have been pretty consistent and had the Revs and Seattle Sounders as their top 2 teams over the past few weeks. So is there any other team around the league that you've been keeping a close eye on, and you might just keep your eye on them heading into more of the season to kind of see how they progress?
Yeah, honestly, I would say New York City. I think they're a very good team, kind of like Dave was saying. So I think they're going to be up there as well. Yeah, Sporting Kansas City's playing well right now too. So that'll be a team to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I think New York City FC would be my pick too, especially after that game at LAFC, because that's a tough place to play, and being down a man, I mean, that's an impressive win to get.
Very impressive. So yeah, they're going to be a tough team.
Jeff, is there anybody for you that you've been watching?
Well, I mean, that New York City FC team, I think I'm really interested to see the challenge and the test this week, because I do feel like New York City FC is potentially certainly going on the road to play New York City FC is probably the biggest challenge that this group has faced so far this season. And I think, being on top of the Eastern Conference, everybody starts talking about you as one of the best teams in the league. And at that point, you always want to test yourself, right? So I feel like going to New York City FC and playing against that team is a really good opportunity to kind of solidify and prove that the Revs should be talked about in those conversations. So I always look forward to those types of games.
Yeah, and you take a look at the rest of the season. I feel like usually when we hit June, take 2020 out of the mix, that was just kind of a crazy, insane year. But usually you get to this point and it's almost a halfway mark through the season. But at this point, there's still 26 games to play. So, DeJuan, which match are you looking forward to the most coming up in that final, I don't want to say final stretch because it's 26 games, but the remainder of the season?
You say which match I'm looking forward to?
Yeah.
I think the July 3rd game against Columbus in the new stadium will be a really fun one.
Okay.
I mean, their stadium has so much tradition, so to get a new one and to open it, I think that's going to be really cool right before the 4th of July. So that's an exciting one. Also, I think the away game at Atlanta, I think they have a really nice stadium. So I think that's going to definitely be a fun game, and their fans always bring the energy. But yeah, those are the two that I'm really looking forward to.
Jeff, what about you? Do you have one that you're looking forward to?
No, I don't want to just keep copycatting DeJuan's answers, but certainly anytime you play around July 4th, like that's always fun, especially as a team called the Revolution. You playing around July 4th, it always feels a little bit more special because there's always so many celebrations going on in New England around July 4th. It's kind of a really big holiday in this area of the country. And to go open a new stadium. And I will say the Revs opened up the first Crew Stadium in 1999, unfortunately suffered a loss in that game. So now you get a chance, 22 years later, to go back and right that wrong and go, make Columbus lose their first game in the new stadium. That'd be a nice story to write.
Oh, let's just put a little bow on that one.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the team's first ever match against Inter Miami too. I think that'll be a fun new milestone for the groups to play for the first time.
Yeah, it is weird to think that I just don't think of Inter Miami really as even a new team anymore, because they were in the league last year, and it almost felt like two or three different seasons last year with as many different competitions as we played in. So yeah, well, I guess I probably hadn't even realized that we hadn't played Inter Miami yet. I hadn't even crossed my mind, but that's definitely another one to kind of circle on the calendar.
Exactly. Well, circle those on all of your calendars. DeJuan, I think that's about all we have for you today, but thank you so much for stopping by the Far Post podcast presented by Esports Gaming League. And it was so great to catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Had a good time as always.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. And we will talk to you soon.